Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I'm taking a look at a intro style war game called Dragon Soul. So Dragon Soul is a game for 2 to 4 players where you're trying to build the most castles in the realm, and you're fighting other people, other players, and trying to take over their castle, turn it into yours. Now there's going to be different scenarios, but the scenarios just change the player count and they change the map of the game. And there are several scenarios in this book. Now, the how to play I'm going to show you is just going to be from the 2-player game, because everything else is the same, whether you're playing the 3-player free-for-all or the team-based 2 versus 2. Now, I also want to say that this is going to be the first of the new review system that I'm going to do. Now, what I'm going to review is I'm going to take 5 different aspects of this game. So we're going to go with the theme, arts components, ease of play, gameplay, and replayability, which is to me the most important when it comes to purchasing a game. And then give an overall final review number at the end of the video. So let me show you how to play this game, and then we're going to go into the my final thoughts. Okay, so this is how a game of Dragon Soul is going to look once it's set up. You're going to have this book of maps here, and it's going to give you different ways to set up your map. And, well, again, I just did whatever, made my own random map. But they're going to have all the maps in here for different players. And again, it will show you what it takes to win the game. So this is these are small maps. So you would need 5 castles to win. You get Guardian Strongholds, 2 players, 6 castles to win. That's a medium-sized map. And it goes on. It goes up to 4 players. 4 players into 2 teams. You have free-for-alls. There are a bunch of different maps in this game. You have a large map here, 3-player free-for-all, 9 castles to win. Just to give you an idea. So this is how the map is going to look. You're going to put your starting castle wherever the book tells you. Again, I'm just showing you the mechanisms of this game. So I'll have my blue castle here. Red player has their castle. On your turn, there's 3 different steps. Step 1 is either draw soldier cards or to build a castle. So I can't build a castle right now because I don't have any soldiers on the map. So what I would have to do is I would draw a card. Now you draw a card with how many castles you have. So I only have 1 castle. I get to draw 1 card. So I have the archer here. Now there's several different soldiers in this game. You have on the back of your player aid here, you have the knight, you have a swordsman, you have a spearman, and you have an archer. I'll go over the combat, like what that means later, but just to give you an idea. So now I have the archer here. Now you have different battalions here. Now you could have up to 6, but the only way you can have all those battalions is if you have the same amount of castles. So right now I have 1 castle. I can only have 1 battalion. So I will put him face down into battalion 1. And this will represent my battalion with the soldiers. So all the cards that are under this battalion token right here are going to be represented here, and they would have to be placed on a castle. Step 2 that you can do is what I just did, deploy soldier cards and battalions to the castles. So he's in battalion 1. That battalion was just deployed. And then the step 3, I can move. Now they can only move into corners, or into the center of the hex. So I could do this, that's 1 move, or I can do this. And if I want, I could go in here into the middle. Now, going back to step 1, because I have a battalion here, I can go on my next turn, instead of drawing a card, I can build another castle. And now what that allows me to do is, now I can get a 2nd battalion. So let's just go over how a round would look. See, now I have 2 castles built. I would draw 2 cards. So I have another archer and a swordsman. So now I can put them wherever I want. So let's say I want to put the swordsman in 2 and I want to put the archer in 1. Now my opponent's going to be doing the same thing. So let's just say, I'll give you an example of what combat will look like. Let's say your opponent's there. I'm right here in this corner, right here. I promise that the game looks a lot better. I just rushed this out real quick to do the how to play, but everything will look a lot more neater. So I can technically attack him. So let's just go, for example, you have to choose you have to choose your battalion. By the way, what I didn't go over was, when you move your battalion, you have to go in numerical order. So I have to do 1 first, and say 2 was over here, and then 2 would go next, so then 2 would move here. Now, I couldn't initiate an attack right now, so, I mean, right now I only have 2 cards in this battalion. Normally, if you want to go into a battle, you would have to have more. So let's just say, let's go have an example right here. Battalion 1 is fighting their Battalion 1. So what I'm going to do is, because I am the attacker, I'm going to look at my cards secretly and choose who I want to use. So I have a spearman, I have an archer, I have a few archers here, and that's all I got. So if you look at here, it's a rock, paper, scissors element. The knight is always going to beat the swordsman. The swordsman is going to beat the spearman. The archer is going to beat the knight. Swordsmen also beat archers. Excuse me. And spearmen also beat knight. Now, depending on the card, sometimes if you play the same, so like defender wins versus other archer. So if the defender played an archer, he would get killed. So let's say for example, I play my card face down. They're gonna play their card face down as well. So he has a spearman. And I use the archer. So I kill his man. So he's put into the discard pile. Now, you're going to be going back and forth doing that until either the attacker seizes the attack, or one is killed and destroyed and they run out of cards. Now, as the attacker, when you use a card, you can no longer use that for the rest of this fight. The defender, if they win, they can use that card again. So if they would have won that round, say they had a swordsman, they could have put that back in your hand. As an attacker, that card is discarded once it is used. That's why the attacker has that ability to seize. Now you're looking at these things right here. These are boneyards. So sometimes when you'll be drawing cards, you're going to come across a soul stone. Now a soul stone is going to be placed into a battalion. Now these can also be destroyed if you come into a fight with your opponent and you have no other choice but to use one of these. It's going to get destroyed. But what's going to happen now is, if you have a battalion, let's say here for number 2. So the soul stone is in number 2. This battalion goes into this boneyard. Everyone in this battalion is going to get destroyed. And this is going to turn into a dragon. Now dragons are pretty powerful. So over here, when you are in a fight with a dragon, they have 2 different attacks. So they can either use a dragon breath or a dragon claw. They can also go fly into different areas. Now let's just say I go into a fight with a battalion here. You have these 2 little pogs here. So we have the dragon, we have the dragon breath, and the dragon claw. And the defender is going to have, the ballista or the shield wall. Now, if you see on this, in your little player aid here, if you use a dragon breath and they use a shield wall, the battalion is defeated. If they use a ballista attack, then the dragon is going to get defeated. Same thing goes with the dragon claw. If they use a shield wall, then it's a stalemate. If they use a ballista attack, then half the battalion is defeated, rounded up. So whatever cards that they have in there. Now, how do you create a castle? Now, like I said before, on that step 1, you either make a castle or you draw a card. Now, if you want to take over an opponent's castle, you would have to be next to it. So right now he has a battalion in that castle, so in order to take it over, I would have to defeat that battalion. Now, if they did not have a battalion in there, I could just go in there and take it over. And I will replace it with my castle. And that's pretty much the game until you get until each player has the correct amount of castles on the board. That player will be deemed the winner. Now I wanted to go over some of the artwork on these cards because they're actually really, really good. So again, you have it doesn't matter how they look; they all both do the same thing. So you have 2 different archers here. This is the artwork for the swordsman. You have the knight, and of course on the bottom of the card it gives you a little bit of a guide. So wins versus swordsman, loses versus archer and spearman, attacker wins versus other knight. So it gives you a little help. So you don't always have to go with this right here. But yeah, the artwork on the cards is really good. As you can see again, and not too. Again, this is a very minimalistic game. It is they are independent developers, but I just wanted to show off the artwork on these cards. Yep, and that's Dragon Soul. So let's go right into the review. We're going to break down the 5 different aspects of this game. We're going to start with the art and components. For art and components, I'm giving a 5 out of 10. It's very minimalistic. But again, most war games are the same way. They have the cardboard pieces and everything. But again, the map, the cardboard on the game is very well done. It's a very good quality. It doesn't feel cheap or anything. I did like the artwork on the cards and on the dragon pogs, so I do give it points for that. But again, very minimalistic, but it's functional. It's not like it's going to be hard to distinguish all this crazy iconography or anything that you need to know. The artwork is functional, and that's it. So theme, I'm giving a 6 out of 10 for. It's not that particularly strong. Again, it's a fantasy theme, but in that whole fantasy theme didn't really jump out. I mean, again, the reason why I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 for the theme is because of some of that artwork and, of course, the artwork on the dragons. So it did come out with that, but in terms of what you're doing, it's just felt like a straight-up war game, going and attacking and taking over other players' castles and stuff. Ease of play, I'm giving an 8 out of 10 because it's a very easy game to table. The rulebook was very well done. Great player aids. The only thing I believe I had trouble with was the dragons kind of confused me a bit. I had to look back and forth, but again, not a big deal. I think the rulebook was very well written, and it's a very easy game to get to the table, and it does not take long to play. You could play this game in an hour or less, 45 minutes, especially in the 3-player game. So 8 out of 10 for ease of play. Gameplay, I'm giving a 7 out of 10. This is a fun game. It's a very tactile game. So I like the way you're building up your army into different, and again, into the different areas of one, depending on what how many you want to put in that area. So it's very tactile in that sense, and there's a lot of strategy in the way you want to attack your opponent. Yes, there's randoms because you don't know what they have, but there's only 4 cards. After a while, you get a sense of what your opponent is going to have, but I do feel it is balanced in the way that the defender can reuse their cards again, but the attacker has to get rid of their cards if they can't use them for the rest of the round, whether if they win or lose. So it is a very balanced game in that sense. So now let's go over to the most important thing, and that's replayability. I'm giving replayability a 7.5 out of 10. This has a lot of good replayability to it because of the different scenarios, the way you can make the map, and again, you could create the map yourself. So again, when you play the 2, 3, or 4-player game if you want, there are many different ways to play. And because it's so easy, the rules are so well done, and they're so simple, it's an easy game to get to the table. I can see this game hitting the table more than a few times a year. But yeah, 7.5 out of 10 for the replayability. So overall, this game is getting a 7 out of 10. It is a very simple, I believe a great intro into wargaming, just to get that sense of how some war games do play. Again, I think this is, if you're going to get into war games, this is a great game to start off with. And again, it's not that expensive. I'm going to post a link to their website in the description section. So if you're interested in purchasing this game. But yeah, this is getting a 7 out of 10. It's getting my seal of recommendation because of it is fun. For me, I do like how it is so tactile when it comes to the combat and the strategies that are in this game. And of course, the replayability is a big plus. It is a very replayable game. I think it's going to have a pretty good shelf life. So yeah, that's going to do it for today, guys. Please like and subscribe. Again, if you have any questions about this game, I'll put them in the comment section. I always respond to everybody. And again, if you're interested in purchasing this game, I will leave a link to the game in the description section. And that's going to do it for today, guys. Have a great one.